start with the Git and GitHub. So first of all, what is Git? So Git is basically a version control system. Okay. Fine. In short, we say VCS. Okay, what is this VCS used for? We'll be coming to that later. And then the next term we have is the GitHub. What is GitHub? So this GitHub is a cloud repository which uses Git, okay, as its VCS. So Git VCS is used in the GitHub. Okay, now what is this Git or what is this version control system? So to understand the version control system, we need to go back into the history a little bit about the project management, how we can manage a project, right? So in the initial days, like let's say you can let's say if you are working in a company and you guys are working on some project, so how you can manage the things, how you can keep all the changes which you are doing for a project, how you can keep or how you can save all those changes. So there are different ways. Let's say we have 4 people in a team, okay, and they all are using a different system, right? So this is person A, this is person B, this is person C. Let's have only 3 people in the team. Okay, so there are 3 people who are working on a project. This is the single project they are working upon. They all are working on the same project. So, and they all are in a different location. Okay, so what you can do is, so what this person can do, so let's say he is working on a module called A, he is working on module called B, and he is working on module called C. So whatever code he will be doing, he will be keeping into his system. This person will be keeping into his system, and this person also will be keeping into his system. Okay, now this ABC module are related to this project. So what they can do, they can meet somewhere, they can use the email services or anything, and they can keep all these files together in a single place. Okay, but for that, let's say you think of a situation or you think of an age where the email facilities were not developed. So if this person is in India, this person is in UK, and this person is in US, so they have to meet physically together in some place, and then they will be sharing the files with each other. Now let's say if there is some dependency of this file on this file, and that dependency is kind of, every day that dependency is created, so every day they have to meet or they have to work from the same location. That's create a lot of problem, okay, in the project management. So what we do is, this is not a feasible way of managing the version or working on the project. So this is called local VCS or local version control system, where you keep a copy of your project or your progress on a local system. Okay, all this progress which they individually are making are keeping it there on their own system. Okay, and if they need to collaborate, then they can just meet together, and then they can collaborate with each other. Whatever files they want, they can exchange with each other. That is one problem. There is another problem also. Let's say this person has starting working on this module, and after working on this module, so first time when he started, he created version 1. Okay, and then he has created version 2 after a few days, after making few changes into version 1, and after making few changes into version 2, he has created version 3. So let's say if he has to give the update on all these versions, so he has to switch to these locations or these folders every time, and then he has to make the changes into that. Chances are there accidentally the changes he wants to make here may do the changes into this version or into this, and then that will be creating a lot of problem. Okay, so versioning also is not feasible in these cases. Okay, so what we did, we devised a VCS, version control system. VCS are mainly of 2 types. One is centralized and one is decentralized. Centralized and decentralized version control system. Like in the centralized version control system, what happens, and in the decentralized version control system, what happens, we are just going to have a look. In the centralized version control system, we are going to have a central server or central system where all this data will be maintained. Okay, and the different systems you have, those different systems will be connected to this central server or the central system. Okay. Clear? Let's say these all are the four people, A, B, C, and D. So they all are connected to this central system or central server, whatever you can say. They all are connected, and these all are the different clients, client A, client B, client C. Okay. Now, what they will be doing is in the centralized version control system, whatever changes they are making, these all changes they will be storing in a single place called central server or central system. Okay. Since they all are connected with each other, so what happens if this person wants to get any changes done by B, A, or D, so he can get it from the central server easily. Correct? Fine. So this is one advantage. Second advantage is that, so first of all, if they want to collaborate, they can easily collaborate, and all these files are kept in a single place. Okay. So for, let's say, C and B wants to communicate with each other, so C don't have to establish the connection with B locally, right? They can do it using this center server. Okay. And also versioning is also quite easy in the case of this centralized version control system. But there is a problem in this. In the centralized version control system, let's say if this central server goes down, so the changes you have made, these all will be lost, and these all clients will be losing the connection, so they are not connected now. And since they all have saved the one single copy of the file on the server, so they will be losing all the progress till date whatever they have done. So they have to work on the project again if they have not created the backup. Okay, obviously. So if you have the center server, why you'll be creating the backup? Okay, so there is not mandatory, right? Someone might say, okay, so I have the system, no one has told me to create the backup, so it's fine. Like, let's say if these guys have created the backup, fine, but this guys has not created, then what will be the problem in this case? That he has to start working on the project again. Okay, or on the module again. So these guys will be waiting till this gets updated. Okay, now to counter this problem, we came up with the decentralized version control system. Now, in the decentralized version control system, what happens? In the decentralized version control system, we may have the central server, we may not have, but at least all the systems will be connected with each other. So all the nodes will be connected with each other. Okay. Now, so what is the advantage in this case? In the decentralized version control system, if this person is making any changes, he will be having the copy of all the changes which this person or this person or this person has done on the project. So let's say we have A, B, C, and D. Okay, we have A, B, C, and D. So all the changes these other people have made, this every system will be having a copy of it. Okay, so in this case, if any one system goes down, or let's say if they are connected to a central server also, okay, so in any case, if the central server goes down, so they all have a copy of the main project, we can retrieve it from there. There are very less chances, there is very less possibilities that all the system including the central server will go down at the same point of time. Correct. So in case if the central server goes down, we can retrieve those files from the local nodes or from the clients. Okay, fine. So this is the advantage of the decentralized version control system. Also, collaboration works easier and versioning also easier in this case. So Git is basically a version control system which provides you the APIs, or you can say it provides you the instructions, or it provides you the commands using which you can manage the version, you can manage the history. Okay, and it also keeps track of every task you are doing. It keeps a screenshot of every task you are doing. It keeps a screenshot of every task you are doing on your system. Okay, so basically it is creating a backup of every task you are doing. Basically, task means to say, here we are making we are referring to commits. Okay, commits means all those changes which you wanted to do, those are finalized, and then once you commit, so one screenshot will be taken of these changes, and then it will be saved in some repository. Okay, so let's say this is commit 1, this is commit 2, this is commit 3, and this one you have made 1 year back, this one around 6 months back, and this one around 4 months back. So if you want to go to any commit or in the history 1 year back, you can go back and retrieve those changes. Okay, so versioning is also easy, or managing the history is also easy in decentralized version control system. Now we are moving to see the process, what all things we are going to do. See, as of now, we are working on a local system. Okay, so first of all, there is a GitHub repository, right? So that is basically the cloud repository. And we want to push all your code. You can think of this cloud repository as some server where you'll be keeping all your changes. Okay, all the changes which you're making, you'll be keeping it there, right? So this is the GitHub account which you have created, and in the GitHub account you will be creating one repository. Okay, that repository will be creating in some time, and in this repository, whatever changes you are making to your local system, let's say this is your local system, on the local system you are going to create few files, and these files will be moving to the cloud repository. Basically, the changes you are doing in your project folder, those changes will be moving to the cloud repository. Okay, so this is your local system. In the local system, first of all, you have the working directory. Okay, this working directory will be your project folder or anything. Okay, and then you will be having one staging area. Staging area, and after this staging area, you will be having the local repository. Okay, local repository is nothing but a folder called .git. This is a hidden folder, and that gets created when you initialize a folder as a Git repository. Okay, so we'll be looking at it, how it is created and how it is done. So as of now, as I said, that on your local system, first of all, you'll be having working directory, then staging area, then local repository. So this is the project folder. Let's say here you are creating one file called f1.py, f2.py, and f3.py. So these all changes you want to move to the cloud repository into this cloud repository. How you can do that? For doing that, what we'll be doing first, we will be moving these changes to the staging area. Okay, so when you create any file into the working directly, that remains into the untracked stage. Okay, that is called untracked stage. Okay, and untracked means it is not tracked by the Git system. So we need to move it to the staging area. Once you will be moving it to the staging area, f1.py, f2.py, and f3.py. So now it will be into the tracking stage or into the staging area that is basically now tracked by the Git system. And to move from working directly to the staging area, we run the command git add. Okay. Once it is moved from the staging area, then we need to move it to the local repository. To move it to the local repository, once you are finalized that the changes you have made, these all are fine. Okay, then you will be moving it to the local repository. Once it is moving to the local repository, so a screenshot will be taken, and these all things will be saved into the commit history. Let's say this is the commit 1 where it is saved. Okay, this is commit 1. Okay, so these all files will be saved, not files, but a screenshot of it will be saved into the .git folder. Okay, fine. So this is first commit. Now after this, so to run this command, we need to run git commit. Okay, this is the git commit to move the files from the staging area to the local repository. And then from local repository to the cloud repository, we need to run git push command. Okay, any changes you are making here, if you want those changes to bring to your local system, you will be running git pull command. Okay, git pull command. And let's say one thing you need to remember, that is a common misconception, that when you do the commit, these files are erased from the staging area. Okay, no, they will still be there into the staging area. So if you want to, let's say, if you want, like after committing, you found that this file f3.py which you have saved, this was not required. So if you want to remove it, then you can go ahead and first remove it from your local working directory. Okay, you'll be removing it from here, and then you'll be running the git add command again, which will be removing this f3.py, and then again if you'll be committing it, so this will be saved as a new commit into your local repository, that is commit to. So f1.py and f2.py will be saved. Okay, so now you can see the first version which you have made, f3.py, it is having f3.py, and second commit which you have made, that is not having f3.py. Okay, so the first commit you have made and second commit you have made, this is the difference, and that is how you delete a file. Okay, so if you want to save those changes, you'll be saving it like this. Fine. We have to link this cloud repository with your working directory. How we will be doing that? So for linking this cloud repository with your working directory, we have a command called git remote add origin. Okay, and the link. Okay, that will be looking at it later. Fine. So these things are clear. So .git ignore and readme.md file. Okay, so these all are the initial part of the initial commit. You can check here how many commits you have done to this repository, and this is the one commit you have, initial commit. In that, if you'll be going, you'll be getting all the details whatever you have done. Okay, so this is the .git ignore files where all these files are added. Green means these all lines are added. Okay, and this is the readme.md where it is showing that what is the repository name. So basically in the initial commit in the readme.md, the repository names is kept. So that is basically the things which you have done. Okay, so this is it into the initial commit. Now let's go back to the page. Just click on code. Okay, you'll be coming to this page, and you can see that these all changes which you have made, that is the part of the main branch. If you'll be creating any branch, you can see the different branches here. Okay, as of now everything is into the main branch. Okay, now next I'll be linking this cloud repository with the local repository, but for doing that I need to create a local repository on my system. To create a local repository on your system, everyone please go to the git bash. Okay, those who are on Windows, open git bash. Okay, those who are on Windows, they will be using git bash only. Okay, please don't use anything else, use only git bash. Otherwise later on going forward you'll see that this command and that command is not working. Okay, so don't use anything else. Okay, use only git bash. So is we will be checking our current. Okay, so there are a few commands which we need to know. So those commands, I'm going to give you a list of those commands. So these all are the list of a few commands. These commands are OS related commands which we will be using quite regularly. So pwd, it is for present working directory, to get the location wherever you are exactly. So to get the present working directory, we will be using pwd command. There is the ls command. It lists all the files and folders in current directory except hidden files and folders. ls-al will list all the files and folders in current directory, including hidden files and folders. cd space double dot, it will be moving you back one directory. Okay. cd directory name or path, it will be moving to the specified directory available in the current working directory. mkdir directory name, it will be creating a directory, make directory with this name. mvsrc directory name, destination directory name, it will be renaming this source directory name with this destination directory name, whatever you'll be providing. rmdir, it is going to remove the directory, and rm-rf-dir underscore name removes the directory if it is not empty. If a folder is not empty, so you are going to use this command to do the recursive deletion. Next, we have few git commands. So this is the initial setup we are going to do into the git after installation. And then these all are the git commands to clone the repository or to get the status or to add the files to the staging area or to commit, to push and to pull. Okay. Then we have, this is few file related operation. If you want to open a file, we have vim command. To get into the insert mode, we have to press I, and then to exit, we have to press escape and colon WQ. Escape is the escape button. Don't press ESC. Escape button and then colon WQ. Okay, these are a few commands. You don't have to memorize it, but yes, you have to use it on quite regular basis so that you are aware of it. Okay, so I'm leaving this, and next what I'm going to do is, so currently I'm going to check the present working directory. What is my present working directory? Basically, I want to go to desktop. Okay, so my present working directory is default location of my system. Okay, see, this is user Vignesh Karthik, and if I want to go to the desktop, so I'll be checking whether I have the desktop, what all files and folders I have. Yes, I have the desktop into this location. So I will be doing cd space desktop, and then I'll be moving to the desktop. Okay, so on desktop, I want to create a folder called project folder. Okay, or a folder with your name. So basically, there is a folder, this LBDC Jan 03 weekend, or no, this is your batch, Jan 24 weekend. Okay, so I'll be moving to this folder, cd lb underscore dsc underscore Jan underscore 24 underscore weekend, right? This is the folder name. We are into this folder or into this location, correct? If I will be checking the ls, so there are two files, class 1 and class 0, which we have created. This is class 0 file and this is class 1 file. Okay, fine. So what I did just now, I wanted to go to the desktop. I used pwd ls and cd command to go to the desktop, and then to go to this location again, I use cd command. Now what I want to do, I don't want to link this folder. I'll be creating a different folder. So I'll be going one step back on the desktop using cd space double dot, going one step back or one folder back, and then here I'll be creating one folder called my project. So to the command to create a directory is mkdir and the folder name my underscore project. Okay, this is the folder name. I have created it. Now let's move to that folder, my underscore project. This is the folder, right? We are into this location. Now if I'll be doing ls, there is no file. If I'll be doing ls-l, there is no files or folders. Okay, so this is some some hidden files which gives you the root locations and all. Okay, so you can ignore it as a prompt. So basically what you can see, we don't have any other folder, no files, no hidden files or folder we can see as of now into this location. But I want to initialize this my underscore project as a git repository. How can I do that? So after coming to this location, I'll be writing here git init. Okay, git init. Writing git init will be initializing this folder as a git repository. Now you can see it is coming as git master. Okay, it is coming git master. Okay, so now this git repository, my project is a git repository. Now if I'll be writing ls-al, you can see there is a .git folder, right? Previously it was not there, but now it is there. This is a hidden folder, and all this .git folder only works as a local repository, and it saves all the changes whatever you are doing. Okay, so this is important. If you want to initialize a repository as a git repository, you have to first write git init, which will be initializing the current folder as a git repository. In that one, .git folder will be created that makes sure that current folder which you are working on is a git repository. Okay, so now let's do the setup first. So to do the setup, what commands we have? We are going to do this setup for the username and then the user email and then the auto CRLF and all those things. We are going to do this setup. So first of all, just go ahead and type these commands there: git config --global. Okay, then user dot name, and then type your name. Okay, whatever name you have. So Abhishek and space Gupta. So if you have the space in your name, then type this into the inverted comma. Okay, do that. Git config --global user dot name, then your name. If you have space, then type your name into the inverted comma, and it will not be giving you anything, just it will execute and it will be done. That's it. Okay, okay, next we have to set user dot email, and here I'll be writing the email ID. let's say abc@gmail.com, whatever email ID you have, you just type your email ID after the .email. So just go ahead and write global hyphen list. Once you'll be writing hyphen list, it will be showing you this information. Let me know if it is showing. Probably this information will not be showing to you, so ignore that. Rest all username, email, and auto CRLF, it is showing this, then fine. There is a down arrow. Click on this down arrow, and this is the link: https://github.com/data science learn by, whatever it is. So you have to copy this link. To copy this link, you can click on this button, or you can just go ahead and select it and Control C. So link will be copied. Once it is copied, come back here and make sure that you are into this My Project folder. It is showing Git master. If it is done, then just type here git remote add origin and paste the link here. Okay. Once you will paste the link here, it will be linking this local repository with the cloud repository. Okay. If you want to check whether it is linked or not, so you can write git remote -vv for verify. It will show you that this current repository is linked with this repository. Okay, where you can run the fetch and push command. What we are going to do. So next, what we are going to do here is, so as of now, we have created a cloud repository. We have created a working directory, which is the project folder, right? Inside that, I have linked also. Linking is done of the cloud repository with the local repository. I have to create few files, then I'll be moving to the staging area, and then I'll be committing those changes, and then I'll be pushing the code. Okay, but before pushing the code, see, when I linked this local folder with this cloud repository, it is just a linking. It means if you will be pushing any changes from here, then it will be coming here. Okay, so what I need to do is, okay, I'll be coming to that later, but let me create few files into this location. Okay, so let me first copy and paste it till here. Okay. Fine. Now, next, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create few files. So to create the file, there are different ways of creating the file. These all are the Linux command. Okay. So to create any file, there is a command called touch f1.py. Okay. So this touch command creates the file if the file is not existing. And if the file is existing, then it won't do anything. Okay. So touch command is just creates the file into the current location with this file name. Okay. So I have created f1.py. Now, if I will check ls, so it will show that f1.py is created. If you want to see the content of f1.py, you can use cat command. Cat command shows you the content of the file. There is no content written inside f1.py, so it is empty. It is not showing anything. If you want to write anything inside f1.py, so there are two ways to write inside f1.py. One way is using vim command, or the other way is using echo command. So using echo command, if the file is already existing, then whatever you want to write, you can just write it. Let's say this is Python class. I want to write this. Okay. And then this file is already created, right? So if the file is already created, so in the echo command, to write something into the already created file, you will be using echo. And then whatever content you want to write, you'll be writing it here. After this, to write into the existing file, you'll be writing double greater than sign, and then the file name f1.py. What it will be doing, it will be writing the content into the existing file. Okay, execute it and then check cat f1.py. Okay, it will show that this content is written. Now if you want to update it, let's say you want to write few more content into this, then what you'll be doing, again echo, and then this is also the first class. Okay, and if I'll be writing here, if I want to update it, right? So if you want to update it, you'll be writing double greater f1.py and execute it. If you'll be checking cat, then it will be showing that these two lines are written. I hope you guys have done till here. We have created files, right? These all are the OS related operation into my file. Folder, my project folder. Now let's check the Git status. So first of all, let me copy this and paste it here. Okay. So now, next what we are going to do is, we are going to check what is the current status of this Git repository. So Git status, if you'll be checking, this is showing that there are no commits yet. We are currently on the master branch, and these all are the untracked file in your current repository, f1.py, f2.html, f3.txt, and f4.java. What you can do, you can use git add file to include in what will be committed, and nothing added to the commit but untracked files present, use git add to track. Means if you want to move it to the tracking status, just run git add command. Okay? So git add command we have done till here. Now next what we are going to do is, we are going to add this file to the staging area. How will be adding this file? So we'll be running git add. There are different ways you can run these commands. Okay, so let's say if you want to add files individually, you can write here f1.py, then f2.html, then f3.txt, and then f4.java. Okay, fine. You can do one way, like whichever file. So if you want to add only specific file, so you can write only this. Okay, only two files will be added to the staging area. Rest all will be into the untracked status. So press enter, and now if you will be checking git status, you will be seeing that these all are the two files which are into the staging area, which are in the green color, and these all are the two files which are under the untracked status. There is one more way you can run the command. Let's say git add. Let's say you have all the files are of the same type, only py files you have. So you can write star.py. Okay, star.py means whatever py file you have, you add that. So if I'll be writing txt, then whatever txt files you have, let's say if you have 4 or 5 txt files, so only .txt files will be added to the staging area. So if I'll be running this command, and if I'll be checking git status, you'll be checking that this txt file is also added. There is one more command called git add space dot. It will be moving all the file from the untracked status to the tracked status or the staging area, irrespective of the extension. So if you will be executing this, now if you will be checking the git status, you will see that all the files are moved to the staging area. Okay, so these all are the 3 commands which you can use to move the files to the staging area. Let's do one thing. So currently where we are, if I'll be checking git status, okay, so it is showing that these all are the files which are into the staging area, and we can changes to be committed, means we can do the commit on these files. Okay, and so if you want to do the commit, how you will be doing the commit? So to do the commit, we are going to write here git commit, okay, -m, and the message which you want to write. Okay. Hyphen M stands for message. You have to write a message. This message may be anything. You can write any message. Generally, we write a meaningful message. Okay. So we can write here, we have created the source files. Okay. And our first commit. Okay. So this is important. Whatever message you write, this message will be maintained for every commit you do. Okay. So the commit messages should be unique. Okay. So the changes, and it should be specific. What changes you have done. It is always recommended that you should write the changes you have done into the commit message. Once you'll be writing, then once you'll be pressing enter, it will be showing that these all are the commit which I have done. Now, if you'll be checking the git status, it will be showing that nothing to commit working tree clean on branch master. It means we have all the changes which we have done in our local repository. In the working directory, those all changes are committed to the local repository. Okay, but yet these files are not pushed to this location. Okay, to this cloud repository. So we have to push this because currently it is into the local repository, right? So we have to push it to the cloud repository. Before pushing it to the cloud repository, one thing can you see here? This is the main branch coming into your local system is master branch, and the main branch is coming inside the GitHub is the main branch. Correct? Fine. So the problem here is if you will be pushing these changes to the cloud repository, two branches will be created. One branch which you are making the changes on your local system, when you will be pushing, that will be going to the master branch. And this is the main branch of the GitHub, where in the GitHub, if you are making any changes, you can make it into the main branch. Okay. So basically two branches will be created, and those both are the main branches. Okay. Why main branches? See, this is the master branch. Why do we say, is it coming master for everyone? I hope those who are using Git Bash, it is coming for everyone. In future, probably this master will be renamed as main in the Git also. When you will, when you download Git, so in that there is a branch in which you do all the commits. Whatever commit you do, this is done on the master branch. Okay, correct. Fine. And then on the master branch, and then there is a GitHub also. So in the GitHub, what happens? They have renamed it as main branch. This is the main branch where you do the commit. Okay. Now you have linked this local repository to the cloud repository. So what will happen when you will be pushing it here? So one master branch will be created, and all your local system changes which you are pushing, they will be coming to the master branch. And there is a main branch also. So basically unnecessary two branches will be created, and both are the main branch only. So we need to avoid it to create the unnecessary two main branches. Okay. So what we'll be doing, we will be renaming this master to main. Okay. Now why it is coming main, why it is coming master? Previously this was also used to come in the GitHub, it used to come master. Okay. Why? So they have made one update and they have made one changes that in the GitHub, the master, in upcoming version of Git in future, you will see that this master is also renamed as main. So why? Because there is some philosophical thing. So like they relate it to the master slave and all. So they say that this name should not be used. Okay. So for that purpose, they have removed it. Okay. Into the GitHub, but in the Git, it will be removed in future versions. Okay. Anyway, so we will not be waiting till then. What we'll be doing, we'll be renaming this master branch to the main, and then when we'll be linking, so whatever changes we have done, it will be coming to the main branch only. Okay, fine. So if that is the case, now let me do one thing. Let me rename this local branch, this master branch to main. How we can do that? So to rename this, we have a command called git branch. Okay, fine. Okay, so to rename this, we'll be using git branch -m master to main. Okay. Now, if you'll be executing it, you'll see that this master branch is renamed as main branch. Okay. So we have renamed it as a main branch. Now, one more thing. So this is your main branch in the GitHub repository. and this is your main branch into your local repository. If you will be checking your ls, so what all files you have, f1, f2, f3, f4. So see what will happen if you will try to push this code. So in the GitHub, this main branch is already available, right? In the GitHub, this main branch is already available, and on this you have done one initial commit, if you remember, where you have created readme.md, and one more file .gitignore, correct? Fine. And you have one git local repository, on that you have the main branch, and here you have created 4 files, f1, f2, f3, and f4, right? So when you will be pushing this code, so this branch will be merged with this branch, and then the changes which you have made here, only these changes will be reflecting here. These all changes will be removed. Okay, these files will be removed. So what provision we should make so that we can keep these changes which we have done as initial commit, and these changes also which we are doing. So for doing that, what we are going to do, we are going to pull all these changes from the cloud repository to my local system. So for doing that, we will be writing here git pull origin main. Okay. Now, so now if you'll be seeing ls, one minute guys, let me see the command git. Okay. Refuse to merge the unrelated history. I have fetched the head, and then I'm going to pull the origin. Okay, let me see. Again, it is refusing. So this is the branch. Okay, so probably why? Because do this. It is refused to merge the unrelated history. I have fetched the head, and then I'm going to pull the origin. Okay, let me see. Again, it is refusing. Okay, so to pull the changes, you can use this command before push, and then use this one. Okay, unrelated histories. So basically the same error we were getting here, to since we are getting fatal refusing to merge unrelated histories, so we are getting this one. The command we are going to use is allow unrelated history. So we will be able to pull the changes from the cloud repository to your local repository. Now this all changes you will be able to see here. Since I've deleted it, it is not showing in my current working directory. But if you guys have not done that, if you'll be running this command, it will be showing you the files from the cloud repository as well. What I'm going to do is just run this command after branch. Renaming the branch, you run this command git pull origin main, this command, and after that you run this command git push -f origin master. Okay, fine. These two commands you have to run. So I'm going to post these two commands in the same order. Come to your this GitHub account, refresh it, and check whether the files you have created in the beginning, readme and all, plus this all f1 to f4, these all files are existing on your GitHub repository. So what I have currently in my local repository is this 4 files, right? And in staging area also these 4 files are existing. I want to remove f4.java. Okay, so I'll be doing here rm f4.java. Okay, now if I'll do ls, so you'll see that f4.java is not available. And if I'll be checking git status, it is showing that this file is deleted, correct, from the local repository. So we need to add these changes. So when you will be adding, you will be writing git add f4.java. Okay, and doing this, your git system knows that since this file is deleted from your working directory, so this has to be deleted from your staging area also. So this file will be deleted, and then you will be writing git commit -m and one message deleted f4.java file. Okay, close this. Now it is deleted, commit is done. Now let's check the git status. There is nothing to commit, and then let's do the git push -origin main. git push -f origin main. Okay, it is done. Correct. Now let's come to the GitHub account. Refresh this. You will not be having f4.java. Okay. Go to your commit history. 2 commits you have done. This was the first commit. This was the second commit. In the second commit, what you have done, you have deleted the f4.java. You cannot see. Correct. But if you'll be going back to your commit history, and if you will be checking this one, okay, so this was having 4 files, right? F1, F2, F3, and F4. So you can always retrieve the F4. Okay. Just okay. So RM basically we have deleted it from the local repository. Then we have added to the we are adding these changes to the staging area. We are informing Git that we have deleted this f4.java from my local repository. So it will be deleting f4.java file from the indexing area or the staging area. Then we are committing those changes with only 3 changes, only 3 files, F1, F2, F3. So a new commit will be done with F1, F2, F3 where F4 will not be available. And then that changes we are pushing to the repository. This is the reason the current commit history you have this one. We have created F1, F2, F3 is the current commit you have done. And if you'll be going to the commit history, this is the recent history which you have made, deleted f4.java file. Okay, so if you'll be going to this commit history, you can check that which files you have deleted. Okay, so this red shows that this file was deleted. Okay,